guys, it's Dr. Conklin. I'm here to do a pretty short video for you reviewing the practice proof quiz. We have a quiz tomorrow, so I want to go through pretty quickly and go over some of the main things we might expect people to get wrong on this practice quiz. First thing I want to point out for number one, whenever you see this swear word, do not even think, look, I drew two sad faces crying, that's how bad it is. I would cross that off immediately because there's no way that's the answer. When I look at this, I see we have a side that matches, another side that matches, but we have an angle all the way over here. That's going to spell A-S. Don't say it, Dr. Conklin. So, this was one a lot of people got wrong in our last quiz. If the angle is not inside, so here's what an inside angle would look like, an included angle that could let us use that angle, side angle. We would have this side and this side congruent. Oh, hold on. Not sides. There's two angles, right? And then we would have an angle here and an angle here. This is angle, side angle because this side is touching both of the congruent angles. And again, usually we don't just have one triangle, we have two. Okay, let's go down here. First thing I see when I see this kind of question, I probably want to start by noting that we have our good friends here. What kind of angles? Vertical angles. So let's fill in what we know. T is congruent to V, and then we have a midpoint. A midpoint almost always means we have two congruent segments. So we're going to fill in TV. E is the midpoint of T to V. So we have this guy here, this guy here. This is funny. It's almost like we just talked about something like this happening. Angle, side angle, angle, side angle. So if we look here, right, we have an angle. Let's change the color. An angle, a side, and an angle. So that's going to be angle, side, angle. Oh my gosh, I circled the wrong one. Okay, let's look over here up to number 3. So again, first thing we probably want to note are two best friends. We just talked about one of them, vertical angles. Let's talk about the other, reflexive property. So this gives us a side right off the bat. Okay, we're also told that AC is congruent to AD. And then we're also told that AB bisects angle A. A bisector, here's AB, it's bisecting angle A. So that I'm going to put a little my little 2 here. Let me just change up the color. I'm going to swoop and swoop. So if I look at this picture, I have a side from here, an angle from here, and we got an S from reflexive. So side and side. Again, when you see this, that it's swearing, make sure you cross it off, right? Because that is not allowed. All right. And then number 4, this is like a little bit tricky, but Mr. Fields gave us a really great hint when you guys were learning this one, that when you see a right angle, it doesn't have to be necessarily be hypotenuse leg, but a lot of times it is. So if we look at this, let's mark up what we have. We're told we have right angles and two sides congruent. So we have AB congruent to RS, and then we have RT congruent to AC, or vice versa. So let's go through. We need 3 things in order to have triangles that are congruent using hypotenuse leg. All right. Do we have right angles? Yep. Because look up here. They told us we have right angles. So I'm going to check that guy off. Check. Do we have a leg? Check, right? This is a leg. And remember, the hypotenuse is the side across. So we can use hypotenuse leg here. All right, and then let's look at our proofs. So I'm going to take a little bit of longer explanation for this one. So if we look here, I'm going to go through, and let me just number these. Okay, now, first thing I see here, we have 2 given, so let's write those reasons in. So I'm going to put down given. So what do we know about givens, guys? Sorry, Juice WRLD. Rest in peace, but you're too loud. So VT bisects RW. So we're just going to look at it this way. I'm going to look at RW, and VT is bisecting it. So these are congruent. Same thing. Now it's going to be the opposite way. Right? RW is bisecting TV. So this purple line, right, is being cut. Okay? So that's going to be two congruent sides. So I have a side here, and I have a side here, right? What's the reason for that? A bisector gives us two congruent segments. Now, this order is a little bit different than maybe what we would normally do, but remember, as we talked about, it doesn't have to be exactly in the same order. The most important thing is you start with your givens, right? I start off with a given, and my last reason is going to be one of those congruent triangles. Okay, so if I look here now, how am I going to get these? Well, we already talked about this is a bow tie, so I got my little X of doom here, right? So I'm going to put a little 1 in here, a little 2. But if I look at this picture, can you guys see?
Mommy.
What, Charlie?
How do you spell
E-A-T. Sorry, my son Charlie needs to know how to spell eat. It's an important thing. Okay, so if I put a little 1 and 2 there, that's not super helpful. I gotta follow these angles, right? So if I look, RSV, RSV. You got it, bud. EAT, he's got it, guys. And then I just want to make sure. WST. Yep. So those are vertical angles, which give us congruent angles. Okay, now what's the reason for that? Well, now we have another angle, and you can see that this angle in the middle here, right, is going to be side angle side. Okay, so last one, and this one we got to do the whole thing ourselves, but we got this, guys. So I'm going to statements, reasons, and I'm going to start by writing my two givens. Okay, so now I've got my givens. Hopefully you guys have this too. So let's mark our picture up, okay? AB is congruent to CB, that's already there. Now, if we have a midpoint, we already talked about this. A midpoint is going to cut a line in half. Here's D. It is cutting AC in half. So this guy is congruent to this guy. So AD is congruent to CD, right? And then what's our reason here? A midpoint does what, guys? Right? A midpoint cuts a line into two congruent pieces.
Every ground is energized with what happens on it. History, culture, people, influences everything that's created.
Okay, so we have another side here, my friends. So we have a side and a side. We're gonna have to have one more piece. So again, what's one of our best friends? Sorry guys, we took a sharp turn to Jewel lullabies. These are all your requests today. She's like yodeling. I'm gonna go to a different song. So that's gonna be reflexive property. So actually this is sort of easy. Now remember our hint, guys. Take your proof statement and just check it, right? A to B, D, oops, sorry. A to B to D is congruent to triangle. C to B to D. Yep. And the reason for that is SSS. All right, so you can expect something like this on our quiz. As always, be in touch with us if you need help. Keep up the great work, All Stars. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye.